Hi, it's Mike with AskTractorMike.com. I'm going to talk about the John Deere product recall today. It's impacting a bunch of their small tractors. And this was actually announced right before I left for vacation, and I'm like, I'm not going to deal with that. I want to get some more information. I want to find out what part was affected. And then I want to do a video about it where I talk about it. I'm going to tell you about the recall, which if you own one of these tractors, you should already know about. In fact, a lot of you that have these tractors have probably already had the repair done. But if you're shopping for a tractor on down the road, I want to talk about how that could impact you and give you a little background about what goes on during one of these recalls. Well, let's first get to the recall, and here's the Consumer Product Safety Commission website that talks about the actual recall. And it's the largest recall in a couple of decades for John Deere on their product. And the tractors that are involved are the 1023E, the 1025R, and the 2025R. And these are all tractors that were sold after 2017. The part that causes the problem was changed before 2017. They had a different part, and these tractors all have it after 2017. And what the actual part is the front bell crank and the brake linkage. And it can break, and when that happens, and I'll show you what it looks like and why it causes this, you have no brakes. So it's a big-time safety recall. And it impacts 147,900 tractors in North America, and of those, about 16,800 were sold in Canada, and the remainder were sold in the U.S. So it's a huge recall, involves a lot of units. Now, if you own one of these tractors and you bought it new from John Deere, you've already gotten the letter. In fact, I think Tractor Time with Tim did a video about this back in, I want to say in July, where you got the letter that said, don't use this tractor anymore. And that probably came from John Deere's legal department, where they were telling you, we've got an issue, we're going to fix it, don't use the tractor because it's unsafe. And of course, most people that own one are like, oh, you got to be kidding, I need my tractor, I'm using it every day or whatever. But that got them off the hook for anything that happened after that date. But this has been going on for a while. I tell you what happens in the background on these. When you're working for a company and you're in the service department and you get a notification that a tractor is rolled off down a hill after a part failed, you flag that. That piques your interest because it's a safety issue. And if one time any part can fail once, but if you get the second call, that's when you start saying, guys, we've got an issue here and we've got to deal with it. And I would say at that point, back when I was in the business, we didn't have all these tractor forums and threads and everything. But if you go back and search this part and try to find out the origins of how long this has been going on, I found a thread back as early as 2022 where a customer had a tractor roll off a hill and end up on its side. And fortunately, he wasn't hurt. But the dealer came out and looked at it and said, yeah, we know what part failed, and they fixed it under warranty and gave it back to him. And that was the earliest one I could find in a forum, but there's been several. And I'll show you 3 instances here where customers have had failures, and they've taken the picture of the part and posted them on the internet, and they're all the same part. And so what part failed? Well, let me show you here. We'll go to John Deere's website. And if you follow the brake mechanism down to this bell crank, and what a bell crank is, it transfers motion from one direction to another. Sometimes they look like a bell, this one doesn't. But if you follow the pedal down, it attaches to a shaft, and it attaches to this bell crank. And this bell crank changes the motion from the pedal to going back to the tractor to activate the brake. And if that thing breaks, you can push on the pedal as much as you want to. It's not going to stop the tractor, and that's exactly what happened. And so John Deere had to bring all these tractors back into their dealerships and repair them. Now, what happens in one of these safety recalls is you think when they found out they had this problem, they've got to immediately fix it. Well, that's not that easy. They've got to identify the problem and the part that caused the problem, and then they've got to go out and find a vendor or find a factory where they could manufacture it themselves and develop and design and build a replacement. And when you've got 148,000 tractors impacted, you better get it right the first time. And so this takes time. I'm sure they've known they've had a problem for a while. And usually the manufacturers, when it's a safety issue, will reach out to the Consumer Product Safety Commission and say, we've got an issue here, and everybody's working together to try to get it fixed as soon as they can. So they'll go out and either find a vendor, or in one of their plants they'll make a replacement part. And then they've got to go to all their dealers that have sold these tractors and say, hey, we've got some great news for you. Every one of these tractors has a defective part on it. It's a safety issue, and you've got to drop everything and get out there and fix them. And as a dealer, that's the last news in the world you want. The good news is, if this had happened back in 2020 when COVID was going on and everybody was having trouble building anything, and of course the product was on some of these tractors at that time and working in the field, it had been a tough time to fix it. But now things have slowed down after that disruption. They can develop the part and get it replaced and get it built and out to their dealers. Now, the people I'm concerned about are not the people that currently own these tractors that bought them new from the dealership. If that's you, you've got a letter from John Deere. They told you need to contact your local dealer, don't use the tractor, and you probably reached out to your local dealer in their service department and they've set up getting it fixed. Now, most of the time, getting the tractor back to the dealership, the transportation, the trucking, is not covered under warranty. I know it should be, but it's not. And so I would say with this failure, or potential failure, that the customers have got to pay trucking to get the tractor back to the shop. And I know that's unfair, and maybe that's not what's happening here, but I bet it is, because you bought a tractor that you wanted to work for you. You shouldn't have to pay to take it back to the shop. But if you look at the fine print on the warranty, nobody covers trucking under their warranty. So you've had to either truck it back yourself to the dealer's location, or they've had to come and get it, and they'll replace that part. Now, on some failures, dealers will get smart after being yelled at by the customer that doesn't want to pay the trucking to get it back to the dealership. They'll figure out a way of fixing it at the customer's location, and they'll send a mobile mechanic out with a list of people that are in the same area and fix 5 or 6 of them at once in one day. And sometimes you've got a technician that gets really good at fixing this one problem. Now, I'm not sure this brake problem can be fixed in the field, but if it can, I'm sure the dealers are looking at that. But most of the time, you've got to bring it back to the shop and fix it there. So here's the takeaway from this video. If you own a 1023E or a 1025R or a 2025R that was made since 2017 and you've not heard from John Deere, they probably don't know where you are. Maybe it got traded to a competitive dealer and they resold it to you, or maybe you bought it in an auction, or it came through a tractor jockey. Anytime stuff like that happens, the trail of where that tractor is goes real cold, real quick. So if that's you, you want to let John Deere know about you so they can get that tractor in ASAP and get it fixed. And so if you own one of these tractors and you didn't buy it new from Deere, you need to be contacting your Deere dealer. You can go on their website, and I'll put the link here, where you can go on their website and check and see if your tractor is impacted. But if it's years on down the road and you're watching this video and you're shopping for a tractor and you're thinking about buying one of these, get that serial number and get it to a Deere dealer and have it checked to make sure that safety issue has been done on your Deere. Because there's always, seems like there's always, hopefully in this one there won't be, but there can be a few that slip through the cracks. And it being a safety issue and being one that the failure happens all of a sudden when you cram down on the brake and the part breaks and you have no brakes, it needs to be fixed on every one of these. And I'm sure John Deere's doing everything they can to get all of these fixed. But like I said, there can be tractors you can't find, and that creates a problem. So that's what's going on with the John Deere recall. I'm sure the people at John Deere don't want to be in the news for the rest of the year. They've had a horrible year with all the stuff that's gone on. The right to repair was kind of the first thing that happened a couple of years ago, and then they've had the moving production to Mexico and laying off people and this, and they've had a couple other things that have happened. It seems like they've gotten no good press this year. It's all been bad, and these safety recalls are kind of common. They can happen with any manufacturer, but this impacts a lot of tractors, and as bad as it is a safety issue, they got to get it fixed. So that's what's going on with the John Deere product safety issue on the brakes. Hopefully, if you've got one of these tractors, it's fixed really quickly and the dealer works with you on getting it all done. But it needs to be fixed. You don't want to use a tractor till you get it fixed if you live on hills. I appreciate you watching my videos. Hey, I'd be honored if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can do that by clicking the mic face icon, and make sure you check that bell so you get notified when I post future videos. Here's a link to my website and the Tractor Fund store with cool things for sale for the tractor owner that helps support my channel. And here's another couple of videos you might want to watch. Thanks for watching.